Welcome one more day to Enharmonia, a space to reconnect with our true being, to remember who we are, to find out what is our true purpose in life, so that we can flourish as expressions of the tree of lives, the authentic reality. And remember, this is a bilingual channel where I publish in English and Spanish. So let me know how many of you are listening from the English-speaking world. I'm aware there are already a few, but it's always good to know, and also what you think about all this. This is not very common information. You won't find many videos like this, which are actually banned. It's forbidden to unveil the truth, because nowadays everything is run by very dark interests in this chaotic and sick society. But let's understand a bit deeper why a human being is immersed in neurosis, in self-deception. Today we are going to explore that. We are going to go deep into the origins of human neurosis and also find out a way to liberate ourselves from our neuroses, which are actually the shadows that keep us from being what we have to be. First of all, let's consider that we are not just physical beings. We have a spirit, a sort of breath, intellect. It comes from astral spheres, mostly from the sun, the energies from the sun. And this, in contact with our animalistic bodies, forms a psychological mind. This was known since ancient times. This is why several myths in ancient times speak of the formation of several humanities. Some of them were very animalistic and idiotic. Others were too intelligent because they received a sort of intellectual breath from the gods. And then there were others in between. They had a sort of restriction because the gods didn't want human beings to be too intelligent at once. They established a sort of evolutional ladder which caused many problems. This was a mistake because they wanted control. And let's understand that the conditioning is both spiritual, psychological, and physical. Because we have shadows that are not just psychological, they are imprinted in our spirit, which is somehow twisted and therefore influencing our psyche. We can compare the spirit to a vision, consciousness, but consciousness can be clouded by certain visions, generating certain psychology, thoughts, emotions, and obviously this affects the body, which gets sick as an expression of a twisted spirit and a contaminated psychological soul. And let's also remember how it was said that Adam, that being which was meant to till the land of Adamah, an aspect of the earth, receive the breath of lives, the Nishmat Chaim, as it is told in Genesis 2. And this breath of intellectual mind came actually from the sun. That's actually my understanding. But it became trapped, and it generated a vital soul. This is even mentioned in Genesis 2. There was, therefore, one aspect which was more spiritual and another aspect which was more earthly. In Hebrew, they call this the Adam Ilah, or the Adam from above, and Adam Letata, the lower Adam, which was formed from the residual energies of Adamah, an astral type of land, very much connected to the emotions that must be cleansed. Now, these two aspects, the upper and lower Adam, became mixed up, and eventually they were split up into two aspects, man and woman. The spiritual nature was associated with man, and the emotional, psychological nature with the woman, who came to be known as Hava. It found expression in physical women, but we also have that emotionality, regardless of being men or women. So Hava is the psychological soul. And in India, they call it the same way. Atman is that sort of spiritual consciousness. In German, Atem is to breathe, so it's connected to the breath. And Jiva is the psychological soul. However, it is also known that the Jiva, Hava, is a reflection of the spiritual energy in the body. Therefore, there wouldn't be Jiva or Hava or Eve without the spiritual intellect. This is why they both are connected. So, if the consciousness is somehow clouded by certain visions, the psychological mind is also going to be obscured with disharmonized thoughts and emotions, and this is what makes the body sick. Therefore, we cannot expect to get healed and be free from neurosis by depending just on the old Atman, the old Adam. We need a new Adam, a new spirit, a new soul, and a new body, which actually fuses with our old spirit, our old soul, and our old physical body, absorbing certain elements. Because we are not just here to die, to get dissolved in a spiritual realm. Some Oriental teachings look for that. They get connected to Atman, and Atman is Brahman, the impersonal, absolute ocean of energy. And this is not what true salvation is, according to Master Ishu, Yeshua, which means salvation by the development of the divine word. We must become an expression of the living vibration of the Holy One. And this implies saving an aspect of our humanity. Therefore, we have to clean our spirit, clean our soul, and even absorb elements of our physical personality, integrating it in the new Adam. And the difference between the old spirit and the spirit from the new Adam is a type of vision. The new Adam has an expanded mind, which is full of life. It's a vivifying spirit. Paul said, the first Adam was made a living psyche, but the last Adam is made a vivifying spirit, a spirit that brings life. Because it's a mind that eats from the tree of life, not from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. So we need a vision which is not constantly worrying about good, evil, correct and incorrect. So we must avoid adopting any accusing attitude towards our physical reality, even towards the angelic architects, the so-called gods, that made the experiments which led to the life we are having now. They made many mistakes, and therefore they are responsible for that. They are paying for it, because when you do something in the universe, you have to pay. But it's not our mission or task to judge them. They have been judged already, and they are suffering because of that. This is why they are interested in cleaning their mess, something they can't do because they cannot incarnate, and they use humanity to do it for them. But obviously humanity can't clean with the old spirit, with the old soul, and these bodies that we have. We must connect with the spirit of life, a free soul, which has serene emotions, harmonious thoughts, and also a primordial body which absorbs qualities. But don't worry about this for now. We must understand little by little, digesting, using the limitless mind, a mind that steps aside from negativity. We must even go beyond positivity, because we are not just being positive or optimistic. This is more than optimism. This is an expansive mind which has no limits. The true mind of understanding, or the mind of the Messiah as it is known, means going through darkness without being affected by it. So let's understand the 7 main types of neurosis, and maybe in another video later on we can explore how these branch in our lives. But there are main 7 types. And the first of all is the phobic neurosis. Sometimes people have fears and they don't understand why. They are afraid of something, but they don't know what it is. In some cases, this can come from other existences. Maybe one of the fragments of vital soul they have belong to a person that got drowned in the sea in another existence. So that phobia to water remains. And this causes phobia to water. For instance, some kids, since a very early childhood, are afraid of water, and science cannot explain that. In some cases, the trauma can come from this existence. In childhood, we are threatened, we suffer violence, and this can cause many fears. I remember, since childhood, experiencing certain fears and insecurities, and it took me many years of inner work to dig the root causes, which is mostly a separation from our true self, the personality in which we feel safe, because we are connected to the very source, the true primordial source of conscious love and modified life, pure conscience, serenity, the qualities of our true being. Now we have to discover the roots of our fears, our insecurities. Otherwise, this phobic neurosis won't let us free. Now we can also develop obsessive-compulsive neurosis in a greater or lesser degree. Some people develop certain substitutory behaviors if they have suffered PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Maybe they saw something in their life, they went to war and they experienced something traumatic, and after that they develop certain behaviors that repeat over and over again as a mechanism of self-defense. Sometimes it's a movement, or getting up at night to see if there is someone threatening the house. There can also be addictions. And these repetitive behaviors aim to relieve a certain stress, but they never do. I would say that most compulsive behaviors or addictions come from a stressful situation that the person does not know how to handle. And this is why the psyche develops replacement behaviors to cope with the stress. But as I say, this doesn't work. No matter what the person does, stress remains. Actually, repetitive behaviors can be a form of getting more stuck into the phobia, into the stressful situation. Therefore, we need understanding, an expansive mind that can go to the root of this problem. In ancient times, this type of obsessive-compulsive disorders were treated by means of conscious dreaming because dreams very often show unconscious elements. Now, this is incomplete. We need something else. Obviously, when we become more open and begin to understand the mechanism of the psyche and receive greater and greater effusions of the spirit of life, we have dreams, we have visions. And these are very comforting, very healing. But obviously we must try to understand. We should never look for quick solutions, taking medicines or visiting a doctor, because they are not going to solve the problem. Extreme problems require radical solutions, and radical solutions is going to the root. If we feel stress about reality, about the negativity of the world, the violence, it means we are disconnected with our true mission, which means coming here and liberating something from ourselves, helping others to do the same. This is a form of expanding our connection to the tree of life, bringing it to this world. And we need a deeper understanding with a greater mind. Now let's go to a third type of neurosis, known as manic depression. I'm sure most of us have experienced, to some degree or another, some form of deep sadness or sorrow. And at that moment, we didn't know the cause. Most people don't know the origin of this sorrow. In many cases, it's due to a spiritual disconnection, the dark journey of the soul. This sorrow can kill a person, can make us completely sick. It's true, there is a connection with an excess of food sometimes, but this is because the people feel empty. So if we overeat, it's because we are not doing what we have to do. We didn't find a passion, we didn't find true meaning. We didn't express what we must express, so the soul gets depressed. This is a mechanism of telling what is taking place. So sorrow is language. It's telling we must connect with our soul, with our true soul, because the old soul is the one which is sad, and the old spirit is the one which is twisted, obscured. Even though there are moments in which we feel the old spirit in a rather free form, and there can be bliss or relief, states of relaxation. Some people go to therapy because they feel depressed, and at that moment they feel some relief. But this is not permanent, because it's not the spirit of life, which brings full serenity, connected to a mind that helps us find what we have to do, our true purpose in life. And this is the true way out of depression. There are people whose configuration tends to make them feel more manic depressive. But we will see that later on in other videos. We have explored some of that in the video concerning the paths, the vital paths. Actually, those who are called to express something emotionally in the world, to become more expressive, if they don't do it, they become depressive. That has been my case. I must communicate. I must express something from the heart. And if I don't do it, I find sadness in my heart. Now, a fourth type is hypochondriac neurosis. A person can feel obsessed with cleanliness, health, and they maybe become vegetarian or vegan, or they get obsessed with cleaning products. They are constantly cleaning the house because they think there are many bugs or viruses. And obviously, that's a form of slavery. As the master said, it's not what comes from the outside, what makes people sick, but what comes from within the heart. Jealousies, grudge, hate, anger. So we must dedicate more energy to clean the heart and the mind, because that's the true origin of unhealthiness. Obviously, taking care of our body and eating healthy is important. I have also spoken about this in the other channel, Vital en Armonía. Now, there is a fifth type of neurosis, neurasthenia, the lack of vitality. This is connected to the nervous system. Some people feel devitalized. Again, in many cases, because of an excess of food, an imbalance in the diet, but also a lack of connection with the vital purpose. If we are not doing what we have to do, we are going to feel insecure, we are going to lose energy, eating too much, worrying too much, emotional negativity, and also with negative thoughts. All that is a loss of energy that leaves us completely lacking energy, vitality, and this can become a permanent state. I'm going to find an angle of more light. Some bells are tolling in the distance. There is a church over there. People are called to Mass. Now, this lack of vitality also has to do with a lack of contact with pure energy, the energy of life. This is why I like making videos in this environment. It's very relaxing. I listen to the birds. I feel the sounds around me. I feel the breeze. Obviously, those of you who live in the city or very far from these places cannot access this very often, but you should, from time to time, get into contact with natural environments, even with your body. Feel your body without fear. Relax your body at will. This will get you to a place in which you can draw energy. Sometimes I feel very tired, and what I do is I lie on the bed, relax consciously my body, always feeling this expansiveness in the heart and the mind, aware that the new Adam lives in me, is my true self. I am connected to the tree of life. I am an expression of the primordial being which lives through me, and this revitalizes me. Sometimes I have to teach very late at night, several hours, and I feel very tired because I get up on the morning and I have to continue working at night. But after doing this relaxation, I feel okay. I can continue. Now, another neurosis is hysteria. The outburst of emotions when the person becomes aggressive or shouts, reacting to things that are trifling without importance. They can get angry because you just told them to do something in another way and they took it in a very negative sense because they interpret beyond the words that are pronounced. But this is because there is a repression. There is also a lack of clear vision. They are constantly worrying about the situation, about what others think of them. There has not been a work of digestion. They don't understand their life. They don't understand the life of others. So they react hysterically. This has been very much the case with the pandemia. And people got crazy in very different situations. So we have to serene ourselves to be more understandable and realize we are in a crazy world in which we must have patience. And last but not least, we have a seventh type of neurosis known as depersonalization, when the person loses the sense of being a person, someone with feelings. People have been turned into robots, objects, animals, especially in this society. We find this even in our passports or IDs. We have been reduced to numbers, pictures, social status, social condition, race, and this is made on purpose. There is a society divided in lords and slaves. So we have to go beyond that. We have to find a true personality. The true personality is not a mask. Persona comes from Latin personare, to sound around in the periphery. The mask used to be known as persona. I mean the theatrical mask, the masks used in the theater. In Greek it was known as prosopon. But we are not speaking about personality as a mask, which is actually what people understand as personality. They put on many masks. The true personality is an expression of the intimate intelligence of the primordial being in us. There is only one being, but being is expressed differently in each one. We are unique, and when we recognize and acknowledge our uniqueness, we thrive as an authentic personality, unique in many respects. And this is an expression of the new Adam in us. Religion has also depersonalized people. Take most sacred texts, and humanity are treated as sheep, animals, so that they can be governed easier by the lords. But we are not sheep in the new Adam. The other way around. Actually, we can command the so-called gods, or God of this physical world. We are an expression of the absolute in the new Adam, and realize we are cleaning their mess, so we have more authority than them to do certain things. We are not even dissolving ourselves in the void, as some Buddhists or Brahmans do in India. We are not looking for absolute dissolution, mystical suicide, which is another form of depersonalization. This is very common in certain spiritualities of the East. Some people look for states of nirvana or enlightenment which are not in tune with the tree of life. The tree of life is salvation of human personality and integration into the true reality. Therefore, we are not looking for the dissolution in the ocean. We must clean the old spirit, old soul, and even save a certain form of our physical personality. With patience, you will save your souls. This was taught by Master Yeshua, which means salvation, precisely because it's the rescue of the human personality. Now, to have a true contact with the new Adam, we must open a space within ourselves from the unicity of our I amness. I represented this with this image you have in the screen. If you notice, the I amness is in the center. Yo soy in Spanish means I am. And above get there we have the number 1, because it indicates the finality, the true purpose of life, our true destination, right here and now, for which we need to open a space. Keter, the crown of life, is where I place the 0, which is not just a number but a function. We must relax, opening a space in the mind and the heart, so that we can distribute our gifts and govern our life with wisdom and understanding, 1 and 2. The union of this brings that Elion, the pure elevated conscience, which I represent with the tree, the union of opposites, leading to mercy, the expansiveness of the four pillars of sustenance, the four elements. We also develop force, discipline, which is related to the five. We self-recognize in Tiferet, uniting spirit and matter. We have victory, emotional success, Od, splendor of truth, then the growth of vitality in Yesod, the foundation of energy, and finally the realization in Malkut. Now I will explain all this further if you wish. Tell me in the comments, because there is a connection between the so-called symbolic numbers and the functions in the tree of life. And it's even possible to find patterns of behavior mirrored in our birth date. We can explore that deeper if you wish. Tell me in the comments. That's a way of having our shadows in front and going deeper in ourselves. And for now, thank you very much for listening with attention. Leave your comments and questions if you wish. Remember, there is another channel, Vital en Armonía, a web of vital orientation. There is a blog, themusicofwisdom.blogspot.com. You have the information in the box down below. And let's keep opening a space, feeling without fear, using that limitless mind which goes beyond negativity to express the infinite love and modified life, integral conscience, and deep blissful serenity.